Ajnanatirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. I thought I'll speak to you a little bit today while it's fresh on my mind. Something about the beautiful deities of Shri Radha Krishna whom we witnessed today. I hope someday I'll be able to bring you here also. It's all happened in such short notice. I prepared to come here in 2 days' time and we just took off. So I didn't know that this situation would be created. And it is by Krishna's mercy that I find myself in Vrindavan all of a sudden. It's pretty cold here. It's 10 degrees centigrade. In the nights, it is maybe even lower. We just visited the famous Radha Damodar temple and the Radha Shyamasundar temple and the Radha Raman temple. These are very ancient temples. They were built during the Mughal period. And Aurangzeb destroyed quite a few of them. And these deities were carried to Jaipur and other places. But in all these places, these deities have been existing. The temple has been built by the Goswamis. The Goswamis were looking after these temples. They built these temples. So I wanted to just recollect with you a Bhagavad Gita where Krishna is telling that I am situated everywhere. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajate mam buddha bhava samanvita. Everything is coming from me. And the Bhagavatam also tells us that Bhagavan ive taraha. It says that this world should be understood to be the Lord himself because it's an expansion of his energy, his material energy. Actually, whatever comes from the Lord cannot be material or spiritual. It has to be spiritual only. But for us, we look at it as material energy. Why? Because we are separated ourselves from the reality, from the spiritual truth, from Krishna. And therefore, in our perception, it is meant for our enjoyment. The moment you look at some creation of the Lord for your enjoyment, it becomes material. It's only material in respect to the way you look at it as a conditioned soul. But for devotees of the Lord who are in connection with the Lord, this world is not material. This world is the Lord's energy and it should be used in his service. That's all. So they see anything and everything to be usable in the service of the Lord. Isa vashyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjita magrida kasya suddhanam. This way from Isopanishad we have understood the shloka. So I am saying these things to you because all these great Goswamis who are here, they built these temples. Some of them were very rich before they came to Vrindavan and completely surrendered. Like Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. These 7 Goswamis are very powerful, great devotees of the Lord. In fact, they are supposed to be the gopis and manjaris who have reincarnated from Krishna's Leela to the same Krishna who appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as his associates. Right? So they are performing along with the Lord some of these pastimes. So mostly people in this world may not see these things, may not believe in these things, because this world is filled with people who are in the material concept of life. They are looking at things materially. So Vrindavan is a spiritual world. It is directly from Goloka Vrindavana that Vrindavan itself descended. Vrindavan is a holy dham, a conscious personality. Because everything in the spiritual world is personal. Nothing is material. The trees, the stones, the bhumi, all of them are living entities serving the Lord, and they consciously relate with the Lord in the spiritual world. So in Vrindavana, when we come, we pay obeisances to the Dhama. Everybody rolls on the floor and takes the dust of Vrindavana on his body. So for some people, it looks totally strange if you don't know this philosophy, that everything in the material world is anyway belonging to the Lord and is of the Lord, by the Lord, for the Lord. But those who don't see it will always look at it in a separated way. But Vrindavan is a place which directly the spiritual world descended into this world. Because the Lord came here to perform his pastimes, he brings his world together here. So along with him came all his associates. Radharani, the gopis, the gopas, everybody. Krishna only gives a hint of this in the Bhagavad Gita. Because Bhagavad Gita, I told you, is basics. Bhagavad Gita, a conditioned soul, is trying to understand who am I, what is this world, who is God. Right? It's very basics, very, very basic stuff. And Varnashrama, rules and regulations, what is religion, what is your duty, all that is explained. But Vrindavan Dham is meant for very, very advanced devotees who are already devotees who stay here and they're directly connected with Krishna. So you will see here, people don't care about the material aspect of life. They don't care how they dress, how they shave, how they look beautiful and all that. Their beauty is based on the devotion to Krishna. Everybody is called beautiful based on the bhakti he has. So this is the place where Krishna himself manifested his own spiritual world. And he appeared here with Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mai and performed beautiful pastimes. Right from his Bala Leela pastimes to right up to 10 years and odd, he was here in Vrindavana. That is when his most wonderful, completely transcendental pastimes took place here, including Rasa Leela with the gopis and his stealing butter, his lifting the Govardhana hill. Tomorrow I'm going to Govardhana Parikrama. I don't know if maybe you can come online in the evening. I can show you Govardhana Darshan and speak a little Leela to you. Anup, maybe can arrange if you want. So anyway, the point is that I wanted to speak to you about the deities here. So the deities of the Lord here are directly Krishna himself. He has manifested himself here. So tomorrow we are going to a place called Govindakund, where the famous Nathji Mandir, you see, all the Gujaratis visit that on the border, Rajasthan and Gujarat border. Nathji, that deity was discovered there by a devotee called Madhavendra Puri. Today I went to this beautiful place taking some of the devotees and we saw Arati of Radha Damodara. That is the area where all the Goswamis would sit together and meet. And Prabhupada had a room here before he came to America. In Vrindavana, he was staying in Radha Damodara temple. And in that temple is where he got instructions and explanation from these Goswamis as to how he should go to the foreign lands and present Krishna consciousness to the people of the world, and how he could actually make them accept the chanting of the holy name as the Yuga Dharma, accept the principles of Bhagavad Gita, and accept the wonderful pastimes of the Lord in the Bhagavatam. So that's why he produced the Bhagavatam, and he wrote the Bhagavatam in these places in Radha Damodar temple. He had his writing and he had a small typewriter and he was typing. All that you read in the Bhagavad Gita, all that was typed in his small typewriter. He himself personally typed the entire thing, analyzed it and wrote it down and everything. Many things happened here in the Radha Damodar temple. So all of us are very emotionally connected here, because Prabhupada said that all the great Vaishnava Goswamis are all living here even now. And we can connect with them if we are very sincere. So Prabhupada sat there and he begged and prayed to be inspired, to be empowered, to be able to go and in foreign lands, the Western world, please inspire me and empower me to be able to carry out the order of my Guru. His Guru, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, told him that he should go to the Western world and preach this message of Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavad. So Prabhupada was just wondering, how will I do it? I'm just a family man. I've just got a small business. And then his spiritual master came in his dream and told him, you please come, you accept sannyasa and you do what I've been asking you to do. Everything will become all right. So Prabhupada actually accepted sannyasa and came to Vrindavana. And here he was studying, reading and writing his books. And he was always wondering, there is a samadhi of Rupa Goswami here, one of the chief Goswamis. And this is where he actually met with Rupa Goswami. Generations later, Rupa Goswami 500 and odd years later with Lord Chaitanya. But in the recent times, 50 to 70 years back, Prabhupada met Rupa Goswami here in this. And many people know about it because he was deeply meditating, and Rupa Goswami appeared to him there and spoke to him and told, this is the way you should do it. And the entire parampara is waiting for you to do it. And this is our plan from the beginning. So Prabhupada got inspired here in the Radha Damodar Mandir. And his writing is put there that the Goswamis are eternally here, and I am also eternally resident in these rooms of the Radha Damodar temple. So when I say this, we can choose to believe or not believe. It's difficult for me to believe. Naturally, it's difficult for me to believe even what Krishna has mentioned, what Krishna's Leela in the Bhagavatam has mentioned, that Krishna spoke these things, Bhagavad Gita, 120 million years ago to Vivaswan, Manave, Praha, Manurikshva, Kave, Abravit. Many things are not believable. But this is not according to belief. It's according to understanding that the science of using the head and intelligence and rationality doesn't work here. It is a science beyond matter. So Prabhupada contacted Rupa Goswami and he told his disciples that I spoke to him. And he gave me directions. So these are amazing aspects. It's not always possible to use your brain and intelligence to understand these things. So in these places, especially the Radha Raman temple, which we visited, which is the only deity now which Aurangzeb did not touch, here the original Vrindavan. In Radha Raman temple is the famous disciple Gopala Bhatta Goswami. Gopala Bhatta Goswami is from Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. His father was Vyankata Bhatta in Sri Rangam in Tamil Nadu. And his father actually was a chief priest. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited in South India, and it was Chaturmasya. In Chaturmasya times, sannyasis don't travel, they stay put in one place, they fast. It's rainy season, can't travel much, and they stay there and do their meditation and their dhyana. So Vyankata Bhatta saw that Lord Chaitanya was an ecstatic looking, happy sannyasi who was dancing and chanting the names of the Lord in front of Ranganatha Swami. He could make out that this person is not an ordinary person. He is very deeply involved in bhakti. So he invited him and said, come to my house and stay for the Chaturmasa. You're a sannyasi. So Lord Chaitanya accepted it and stayed in Venkata Bhatta's house. Venkata Bhatta's son was Gopal Bhatta, a very small boy. He was some 5-6 years old, wearing a small dhoti with a shaved head and a nice Sri Vaishnava tilak, and very obedient to his father, chanting the mantras and everything. Lord Chaitanya stayed in the home, and Venkata Bhatta would send his son to do all sorts of small services for Lord Chaitanya. And he would do all those services. And he became very attached to Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya showed a lot of mercy. You must remember Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself in Kali Yuga. So Venkata Bhatta and Lord Chaitanya also became very close to each other, because they were discussing Krishna, they were discussing Ranganatha Swami and Narayana in the Vaikuntha planets, and Lord Chaitanya would, joke with him, and they became very, very close. And he became very attached. Venkata Bhatta became very attached to Lord Chaitanya. So at the end, when it was time to leave, Gopal Bhatta Goswami also, that time his name was Gopal, he was feeling very much. And the Lord came in his dream and told him that after your parents pass away, they are very wonderful devotees, you should look after them. And after that, you can come to me and meet me. In this way, Gopal Bhatta Goswami came to, Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya gave him instructions. And he was put under in Vrindavan. And he happened to go to the Gandaki river in Nepal. People go to take darshan of Muktinath. And he went there and he took darshan in the river. And that is where Shalagram Shilas people go to collect. In the river bank, fully stones are all Shalagramas. And while he was meditating there and deeply thinking of the Lord, 2-3 Shalagramas jumped and went into his kundala. It's a very amazing story. Originally he took them. The first trip he took them and he came to worship. Then somebody told him and he came to know that you cannot take like this Shalagrama and bring without authorization from the guru and everything. So he went back all the way to Muktinath, to Gandaki river to put back. And he placed the Shalagram back in the river bank. And as he was deeply meditating and feeling very much, I've done something wrong, the Shalagram jumped and went back into his kundala, into his kamandalu. And he was very surprised. Again he put back, again they jumped inside. Then he could understand that they want to come with me. Krishna is offering himself for worship like this. So he brought them back. Today we failed to take darshan there, but it's a place right next to the Gopal Bhatta Goswami's Radharaman temple. He was worshipping the Shalagram Shilas, very devotedly worshipping, because he has been given instructions by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left, and he was feeling the separation, and he was very intensely meditating on the Lord and worshipping the Shalagrams. It was Narsimha Chaturdashi, the appearance of Lord Narsimha Day. And that time, one of the persons, rich people here, came and met the Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and told him that here are dress, jewels, everything for your deities. And at that time, Gopal Bhatta Goswami thought, I have only Shalagram Shila. I think for those who don't know, Shalagram is like a stone. But it's Vishnu himself who has appeared in the form of a stone. And they're not every ordinary stone is Shalagram. Specifically, they've got characteristics, especially in the Gandaki river. So you can't dress much. It's just like a stone. But in every Brahmin's house, there's Shalagram. So he was wondering, how can I use all this to make a dress? And for a moment, he had an intense desire. If I had a beautiful Krishna deity, I will be able to dress. So he felt this very much. And previously also he was feeling, but he was not expressing it very much. But he felt it so deeply and he went to sleep. The next morning, he was ready to open and worship the Shalagrama. When he opened, he saw a very beautiful deity of Krishna. The Shalagrama transformed himself into a very, very beautiful looking, small, plump looking. You can Google Radha Raman. You'll get a very beautiful looking deity. So cute looking. And he was so surprised, was amazed that the Lord had understood his feelings and had appeared him. Yeah, here it is. Thank you very much. Radha Ramana ki jai. So beautiful. Plump and a Tribhanga form, holding the flute. Very cute looking. It came out of the Shalagram. And he became so ecstatically happy that the Lord had reciprocated with him. So you'll see they decorate very beautifully. One of the world's best puja is done in this place, in a traditional family that comes from Gopal Bhatta Goswami, even today. And they are very close friends to ISKCON, and they teach all the devotees how to do. And from this temple only, our pujaris have learned many things from all over the world and made puja manuals. And we have a standardization of how to worship the deity. So they have very wonderful dressing, very sweet looking. Anybody who does deity worship will be very amazed to come here and see the type of worship they do and how they make offerings and how they treat the Lord. So originally manifest deities from Shalagram directly and worshipped by Gopal Bhatta Goswami. So these are not statues. These are not simply some vigraha, some statue you can buy from the market. They are manifestation of the Lord himself. Pratima nahi tumi sakshat prajendra nandana. You are not a statue, you're Sakshat Krishna himself. This is the belief and faith of everybody. With my material eyes, I can only see matter. And because of my desire for sense gratification and material entanglement, I can only see matter with my senses. So, my vision and with my senses, I can never access the Supreme Lord who is fully spiritual. So the Lord himself manifests into our sphere of sensual perception. He makes himself available to us so that I can see with my eyes, so that with my hands I can make him a costume, so that I can cook for him and offer him, so that I can garland him with flowers, so that I can decorate him. He makes himself available to a devotee who wants to serve him in this way. That's why the deity form of the Lord is a special mercy of the Lord coming in front of you. So devotees become very attached to the deity they worship, and many of them will not eat in the morning till they do the puja and the offering and all the things for the Lord, and they will start eating only with the prasadam. Like this, many places people worship, whether in south, north, now all over the world they worship deities, and so many devotees worship deity at home, and they are so much involved and absorbed in the deity worship. In India, you'll find so many temples. Because of this deep understanding, I can connect with Krishna in the form of the Archa Vigraha. With my material body, with my material senses, Krishna has come into my purview, into my zone, through the form of his deity. So if I worship and serve the deity, although I have material viewpoints, slowly they get purified. And the Lord manifests himself. So you'll see many of these deities, they are not just deities installed. Many of the deities took part in the Leela with the devotee. Like you must have heard the story of the Sakshi Gopal deity. So this is a process of Bhakti Yoga that Krishna is talking about. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. In the 18th chapter, worship me. Worship me in my deity form. You'll become attached to me. Your love for me will be awakened. Right? So many of our Grahastha devotees have deities at home. The deity becomes a member of the family. And without giving him offering, they won't eat. They'll come and glorify him, and they'll do bhajan and kirtan in front of him. They read Ramayana, Mahabharata in front of him. And they start developing a relationship with the deity. Everybody in the house develops a relationship. And after some of them become big, this way, that way, they build a temple, and the temple becomes public. And this is what has happened to all these temples here of the Goswamis. This is private deity worship of many of these Goswamis. And today they are all public temples where we come and see them. They're still here, and they reciprocate with any devotee. So the process of Bhakti Yoga, which Krishna is speaking about in Bhagavad Gita, when he says, Madhyaji mam namaskuru, worship me and I'll be with you, entails deity worship. And it is a process. So of course, deity worship, when the Lord comes into your house, then certain standard of life is required in Sattva Guna. You cannot do many of the things that we normally do because Krishna is at home. And people with that consciousness get up early in the morning because Krishna is waiting. I have to take my bath and I have to give him his preparation at right time. I have to do alankar for him. I have to wipe the floor, and I have to, do new dishes. They keep thinking about the Lord constantly. If they see anything in the market, they'll say, I'll make this an offer to my deity. I want to give this type of a cloth to him. They start thinking in terms of the deity. This way they become Krishna conscious. They become attached. And I have seen some of them, very simple, nice people, having a small house, hardly anything, they're earning something big. But if you look at their attachment for the deity, it's so wonderful. With whatever little they have, if you go to their house, they have decorated the deity so wonderfully. So this is one of the main important processes in Bhakti Yoga. Madhyaji mam namaskuru. Worship me, offer your obeisances to me. Krishna is willing to come to your home. If you want, you can call him. If you deeply desire, he appears, and you can award him the worship and everything. This is a culture, Vedic culture. In every Brahmana's house, for sure, there'll be Shalagram Shila. And he'll be worshipping Shalagram Shila, or he'll be having deities of Radha Krishna, Vishnu, Chaturbhuja Rupam, Narayana. One of them he'll be having, and he'll every day do Om Sahasrasircha Purusha Sahasrakshas Sahasrabhat Sabhumin Vishwato Vritva Atyatishtat Dashankulam Purusha Yevedagam Sarvam Yad Bhutam Yad Chabhavyam Utamritattvaseshanah Yadannena Tirohati. Every Brahmana will do with water and tulasi abhishekam for the Shalagram Shila every day, and make offerings, and chant Bhagavad Gita one chapter and recite verses from this thing, and then only go and eat. This is a regular daily routine early in the morning. They'll always remain with Krishna in the center in their house. Even today you can see in so many Brahmins' houses, I have seen Shalagram will be there, and the son and the daughter will come and clean the floor. They will wash the vessels of the Lord. Each one has got one service to do at home. The father will be very strict. Did you do that? Did you do this? The son will learn all these verses and he will chant. The daughter also will learn and chant inside the house. So this Krishna consciousness which you are learning is not something new. It's a very old tradition. It looks something new now to chant Krishna's name and worship the deity and worship the Tulasi. It's the age-old custom in this land. Today, the TV screen or the mobile phone or the computer screen has become the deity. Everybody is moving around that only. That has become the central piece. You can see that the most important thing, if it becomes the Lord in the center and the deity of the Lord, how your life will be. And there's no distractions of cell phones or that or this, or no job to do, nothing. They'll just read Ramayana, Mahabharata, they will chant the holy name, they will do little agriculture, they'll cultivate some rice and small things and flowers and fruits and all that. That's all very simple living and high thinking. That's what human life is meant for. Of course, we live a very complicated life now. Our life is turned inside out. We don't have time to chant Krishna's name, time to read Bhagavad Gita, time to worship the Lord. It's become totally external. And we don't do the main functions of a human being. So sometimes it looks like, I will think about it. I will try to do it like that. It's not an option, actually, in a human form of life. Bhakti is not an option. It is the main purpose of life. It is the meaning of life. It's the meaning of existence. You are eternally connected with Krishna. So doing a little deity worship and all is not something eating out of your main time. It is a basic thing you have to do. That was the culture of this land. Now it is Kali Yuga, so things are different. So when we come to these places, we are reminded very strongly about who am I and what I should be doing. Right? So these are some thoughts I thought I should share with you from the holy land of Vrindavana. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki. You have any queries or questions? Maybe I can try to answer them. Anybody has any question or query? I can try to answer it.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes, Chitra ji.
So one of my friend home, they have soligram.
Yeah.
But will have weekly twice or 3 days non-veg. Is there okay, or is there any problem? Should not keep the when keep the soligram, should not eat non-veg, or
How can you talk about non-veg? You cannot offer.
I told them it is not correct today.
No. You see, first of all, there is no relationship with anybody who is having non-vegetarian normally will not worship deity and shalagram and all in the house.
Yeah.
It's because as per the scripture, killing of another living entity is a sinful activity. Right? So, of course, some of them may be doing and they don't know about it. Nobody told them. But normally we tell them that you can worship deity once you come to that standard. So many of the houses, I know once upon a time they were eating meat and all that. Then over several years, they completely changed. They purified the whole place and they do kirtan bhajan at home. They have totally changed. And then we teach them slowly how to do this. Then they start worshipping and they become qualified and they're operating under some instructions. Then we train them and then we do. So this requires certain level of cultural, traditional standard. Right? But chanting Hare Krishna you can do even if in your house somebody is cooking meat or something. Those things you can do. For chanting, there is no rules and regulations. Tatrarpita niyamita smarane nakalaha. There is no niyama for that. So this is the best thing to do in Kali Yuga. The simplest thing to do is to chant Hare Krishna. Because you can directly contact Krishna through the holy name. But as a person starts chanting and improving and starts developing love for Krishna, he feels, I think I want to worship deity. I want to bring Krishna closer to me. At that time, we tell them, yes, okay, now you can try this. But till then, we don't normally tell them to immediately start deity worship because they may not know how to look after. Like some of them prematurely take deity and then they say, I'm going on a tour. So they leave the deities like that and go. So slowly, the deities become some dolls or something at home. Then afterwards they stop worship and the deity will be in the shelf and there'll be no, even in some temples you see like that. There is no funding, there is no money for giving cloth to the deity. So Kali Yuga is like that, no? So many temples are abandoned. the pujari cannot look after anymore, the government will do something and all that. So unfortunate. So what we do is we tell the person, are you capable of doing it? If you're not capable, you just chant Hare Krishna, worship Tulasi at home, and read the Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. That is enough. And you go and visit the nearby ISKCON temple and you do seva there. Whatever little seva you do. Then slowly, over a period of time, Krishna will make arrangement for coming to your house. He will give you the facilities and he will come to your house. This is a fact. I have seen it happening.
Yes, Maharaj.
Yeah, you will see.
Due to the temple, so they told, no, your people are doing rules and regulations. It's not correct way like that. Once upon a time, friend also was having Saligram. After he expired, I went to temple because I can't maintain every day doing abhishek and that's why I went to temple that time. 15 years over already.
Yeah, sometimes, people are able to do it. Some of them learn how to do it. And some people are not in a position to do it.
Yes,
I know. Because for women, it becomes very challenging if the husband is wanting to eat non-veg. And sometimes they are involved in some things like this and home keeping deities. And it becomes very crazy. You can't do that.
Yes,
so to them, we advise that you go and worship the deity in the temple.
Okay.
Of course, yeah, right. Okay. Yes. Any other question? Okay. What's in the chat? We are vegetarians, but we were told by our temple pujari that shalagram should not be kept only in temples and not in a grahasta's abode. Well, he's trying to tell you because I think he may be thinking that you may not immediately know the standards for doing deity worship. Maybe that's the reason. But shalagram was something that every Brahmana's house had. It's prescribed in the Varnashrama Dharma also that you must do deity worship as a grahastha. Especially for all grahasthas, it's recommended to do deity worship at home. In Kali Yuga, our situation is different, like I already explained. But if a person can do, it's good to do. It's good to do. But you can do at home worship, of course. Public worship is one thing for those who cannot keep at home. But the Vedic tradition is everybody's house, they will have shalagram. Everybody, especially Brahmanas' houses. The Shudras and Vaishyas, they did not have. Because those days only the Brahmanas were authorized to do deity worship. Now in Lord Chaitanya's time, we, by his mercy, anybody who chants Hare Krishna and anybody who is able to follow some of these simple rules and regulations slowly purifies himself and he becomes fit for doing a simple worship at home. He is responsible. So we teach him how to do. We teach him how to do. Yeah. Okay. Right. Any other question? Sundar Muraridas, if chanting is Yuga Dharma, why is promotion of Brahminical culture stressed? Please clarify. Nobody is stressing Brahminical culture. We don't talk about Brahminical culture, we talk about devotional culture. We are not saying you should become a Brahmana to become a devotee. You can directly become a devotee. A Brahminical status is according to Varna classification. Varna is Guna Karma Vibhagasha. According to your past karmas and everything, you may be born as a Vaishya, Kshatriya, Shudra, Brahmana. And if you're a Brahmana, then you have duties of a higher order and a greater responsibility. Right? But becoming a devotee is something accessible to the Shudra also. same opportunity as much as a Brahmana gets. If he chants Hare Krishna, he will also get devotion to Krishna. And if the Brahmana chants Hare Krishna, he will also get devotion to Krishna. If the Brahmana does not be a devotee, then he will not get Krishna, which is the goal of life. But if the Shudra becomes a devotee, he will get Krishna. He will even go above the Brahmana in terms of achieving Krishna consciousness. So Brahminical culture is not a must. But if you're born in a Brahmana family, it is good platform for you to very easily become a devotee. But if you don't utilize it properly, what to do? But somebody who is a Shudra can elevate himself to Sattva Guna by just becoming a devotee and go beyond that very fast. So the opportunity is open to everybody, and that is the main thing that is stressed in the Bhagavad Gita and in the Bhagavatam. That's the main point that many people miss. The point is to be a devotee. The point is to not boast that you are a Brahmana. That's the problem with Brahmanas. They get stuck. They don't know. They start enjoying their position as the topmost people in the Varnashrama. And they can get diverted. But a Shudra, a lowly Shudra can, with very humble mind, worship the Lord and become promoted very fast to pure devotion. So in Kali Yuga, or in chanting of the Yuga Dharma is chanting, and anybody who does chanting will get the topmost benefit of Krishna Prema. It doesn't matter. Kiba Vipra, Kiba Nyasi Shudra Kenanoi, Ye Krishna Tattva Veta, say Guru Hoi. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, so what if you're a Brahmana? So what you're a sannyasi? So what if you're a Shudra? If you know Krishna Tattva, if you know the science of Krishna, you fit to be Guru. That is the philosophy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So don't have to worry about Brahmin. Kali Yuga Brahmins are also very strange. Only name, title, only Brahmana. I understood that I am from a Brahmana family. I understood when I read Prabhupada's books, I am not at all a Brahmana. In terms of, I did not know anything about Vishnu worship and this. I was praying to the Lord for going to America and starting a big, consultancy, and I was getting ready. I was trained in a completely different way. Right? So that's not important. We're not trying to be Brahmana. We are trying to be devotee, beyond Brahmana. Every Brahmana can become a devotee. Every devotee is already a Brahmana. But every Brahmana is not a devotee. That you must understand these things from Bhagavad Gita. Okay, Lakshmi Pashupati, thanks Maharaj for the wonderfully quoting that this energy is always spiritual. Only we see it as material. Thanks for giving class from Vrindavan, Maharaj. Hari Hari Bol. Okay, Hare Krishna. Om Tat Sat.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare
Have a
Krishna.
great time. Good night. I should go because it's getting a little colder and I have to reach my ISKCON temple. I am in Sumit Prabhu's house and I am speaking from there. He's a Vrindavan Vasi. He was in Coimbatore. He's from IIT Kanpur and he was working there, and now he's working from home here. And I came to his home and he gave me all sorts of paratas and all sorts of amazing Brajavasi food to eat. I ate that and I'm giving this session. I'm being looked after by Krishna here, by the Brajavasis. So I think it's time to go home now because it may get cold and become difficult to get a transport back. Om Tat Sat, thank you very much. Sorry about my coming a little late, but I was determined to be with you, and Krishna gave a solution how to do it from Sumit's house. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hari Hari. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.